This series has too much political correctness.
Oh, great. You're one of these people, aren't you?
This episode featured male pregnancy and a male nurse, even though that's what Rory was, but still, I'm still annoyed about it for some reason. Last week we had a Trump-like character who didn't like Trump, so it's a kind of bit awkward about that. The week before, it was a lecture on segregation and why racism is wrong. And, of course, the first 2 episodes featured a pick-a-mix collection of companions, one of which has dyspraxia. And they all are relatable to some people. And, of course, the gender-pushing, box-ticking female doctor. It feels like they are ticking boxes, and it is a very political correctness series. The show has indeed become too political, and I find that gets in the way of the storytelling.
Well, just because there's a gender-pushing or political correctness, even if they do have them, it's debatable, but even if they do, that doesn't necessarily mean the final product is bad. It could be great. In fact, Rosa was bloody awesome.
Really? Well, I am the PC hater. I make sure people hate stuff for political correctness and gender pushing, and because people are box ticking everything, I want to make people hate stuff just because I have nothing better to do, and I think the political climate is, well, ridiculous, even ignoring my views on the politics, which I think Doctor Who has become too political. I think everything has become too political, even if they've always been political or had political subtext in other stories, but you know what I mean.
Well, I can't let you do that for the sake of humanity and the fanbase and common sense.
You can't stop me, Mr. Payne. I have...
Hike!
No!
You don't mess with the karate chop.
Have that karate chop.
So, what's wrong with you then? Pregnant. Say what? Yeah. Should have used protection. Huh. Different alien species, different biologies, I guess. Okay. On with the show. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to my Revisitation review of Doctor Who Series 11 Episode 5, The Tsuranga Conundrum. Okay, so, The Tsuranga Conundrum, well, whilst I thought Arachnids in the UK had its issues, I still kind of enjoyed it. But Tsuranga Conundrum for me is the first episode of the series where I feel like it didn't quite work for me personally. Didn't quite get into it. I suppose this could be the same thing people could say for The Ghost Monument if they weren't so keen on that episode. Personally, I thought that was a pretty fun and relaxing episode. But this one is just a bit dull. Personally, I can, again, see why some people might think that about Ghost Monument. But this one, I just couldn't really get into it. I suppose maybe some people could get into it, but for me personally, I couldn't quite get into this one. So what's the story of this one? Well, the Doctor and company arrive on this junk planet for no reason. They're looking for something, but they don't really explain what. And they find this sonic bomb, which is just there as a nasty joke by someone who's never actually shown or explained. And they end up on this hospital called Tsuranga, which is taking them to this hospital space station. However, en route, they are boarded by this little alien creature known as the Pating, which has poisonous skin and will eat lots of metal and also energy. So this is at risk of destroying the ship, and alongside that, the space station has detected that the threat is on board, meaning that it could activate the ship's self-destruct system if it's to come under attack. So the Doctor and her companions, as well as our supporting characters, have to try and stop the Bating from destroying the ship, as well as stop the ship from destroying itself, so to speak. And the ship uses antimatter as its drive, as its engine to power it. And that's basically the plot of this episode. It's this little creature comes on board the ship, and it's about to destroy the ship, so the Doctor and company have to stop it, and they have to stop the ship from self-destructing. That's basically the plot. Doesn't sound too bad, but it's just not that interesting. On top of that, we've also got a little subplot with one of the patients about having what's known as pilot's heart, which I'm not sure what that is, and also another patient is pregnant, and we have to have that whole story. More on that in a bit, especially that pregnancy one, because that caused a bit of controversy for absolutely no reason. But we'll get onto it in a bit. But yeah, this episode just didn't really click for me. Again, I can understand if some of the other episodes didn't really click, especially Ghost Monument, because that was very fast-paced, and also Arachnids in the UK, if people weren't so keen on that one. Understand that. This is the first one that didn't really properly click for me. Like I said, I could see issues with Arachnids and had nitpicks with the others, but this is the first one I just wasn't really that interested in. It's just, I don't know, it's just not that great. It starts off all right, with the main characters boarding this ship and the Doctor kind of acting a little bit selfish before realizing, I'm being selfish. I'm being selfish. Sorry about that. Which is good characterization, because it means the Doctor's kind of thinking they have to go and do something. They need to go back to the TARDIS or something. But once they're taken down a peg or two by one of our supporting characters, they then realize, oh snap, I'm not thinking about others. Oh, sorry about that. So that's actually pretty good, that Doctor can be taken down a peg or two once in a while. I expect the Not My Doctors love that scene. And what am I talking about? This is Series 11. They don't like anything in Series 11. I also don't mind the Pating. I actually like the idea that it's not a large creature, but a small, tiny creature, and it looks quite cute. But it's also a creature that can cause lots of damage and is a potential threat to the spaceship. I actually like that. I know some people have said the Pating is the worst monster in the show, not just the Not My Doctors or people who don't like the series, just fans in general. They don't like the Pating. Fans who don't like the Pating would probably say it's either the worst monster, or slash villain, slash alien, slash creature, or it's one of the worst towards the bottom. Me personally, I think it's better than some of the others we've had in the show over the whole course of the show. Is it the best monster of all time? Not at all. But it's not one of the worst ones either. So, yeah, I mean, you can have your opinions, of course. I personally don't think the Pating is one of the worst monsters in the show. Is it the weakest monster in the series? I also don't think that. I think there's going to be a weaker monster coming up in a few episodes' time. I'll get some positive stuff out the way first. So I've mentioned the beginning, and I actually like the Pating. Characterization. I think the Doctor's pretty good in this one. Can't say it's Jodie Whittaker's best performance of the first 5 episodes. I think that would go to Rosa. I do like the 2 Doctors on the spaceship. They're pretty great. I do think the guy died a bit too soon. Maybe he could have died a little bit later to show that this thing really does mean business. But the female supporting character is really great when she has some screen time. I like her arc where she's trying to be a bit more confident and sure of herself and not fret too much, as it's only her second outing on the ship. So I do like her arc, but they're not really used too much. The guy, like I say, he dies a bit too early, in my opinion, and the girl, she has some good moments in the middle, but later on she's just kind of pushed to the side a little bit. And the same could be said for the companions. The companions are just there, just to be there. In fact, I don't think any of them really get a significant contribution. I think 1 or 2 companions in this story might have gotten a bit more to do. Yaz is tasked with trying to stop the Pating from getting to this antimatter chamber with a android assistant to one of the other patients, whilst Ryan and Graham are sent to help with the pregnancy, and I'll explain why in a moment, because that's a character I'll be getting to in a bit. And they're joining the female nurse with helping with the baby delivery, so they're kind of out of the picture for a bit. Our other supporting casts include a patient who was a Eve, I believe her name is, who was a fighter pilot, and she's got pilot's heart. I'm not sure what that's like. Is it like AIDS for space fighter pilots? I'm not sure, because she mentioned something about being the poster girl for it or something. She was a poster girl for the starfighters. She didn't want to be associated with pilot's heart or something. I'm not quite sure, but she's got this android assistant helping her, and she's also got her brother on board, who's a mechanic, who doesn't initially know what her official disease is. She's lying to him about what it is, but then he finds out. But they kind of reconnect later on. I thought they were decent characters. The fighter pilot was a good character for what she had, and she was able to steer the ship back to the space station for a bit, and then the brother had to take over after a unhappy incident, shall we say, whilst the android goes off and helps Yaz. The android is very stereotypical, unemotional android thing. He's sort of a Mr. Spock-esque android, but he does have some decent moments, and the actor does a very good job in the role, as does the one as the brother, who's a decent character. Did they all need to be in this one? Probably not. I think we could have cut it down to 2 characters, but I'm not going to complain too much about that. Shut up! Thank you. And on to the final supporting character, we got this guy who's pregnant. Yeah, you heard me, a guy who's pregnant. Well, he's an alien. Shut up! Well, he's an alien. Other aliens have different biological reproductory systems. The Time Lords, for instance, you've argued they've got something like humans, or they've got the loons. Sorry. What are loons? Go and do some homework. Try Doctor Who Expanded, the Wikia page. Anyway, so this guy is a alien whose biological reproductive system allows him to get pregnant within a week. Gets pregnant and give birth within a week. So it's a week-long pregnancy, and the male aliens of their species give birth to boys, whilst women give birth to girls. So that's basically their sort of how they do their things. We don't really learn too much about it. We just know that this alien is giving birth to a son who's on the way, and that's really it. Now, I don't really have an issue with that. I know a lot of people had an issue with the fact that there was a male pregnancy in this episode for some reason. Did you all miss the fact that he's an alien? I suppose the whole controversy is that the men are to be the ones giving birth instead of the women, or it's something to do with fathers looking after their children or something. I honestly don't know what the controversy is about this character, but he's an alien. He's a fucking alien. The biological systems are going to be different depending on species. It varies from species to species. Not everyone has the same biology as a human. And yet people couldn't take that. I suppose it's because he looks human, but 60 to 70% of aliens in this universe are humanoid looking. And about 80% are humanoid full stop. So having a human-looking alien isn't new to this show. But people just found this controversial for some reason. Funny enough, Red Dwarf actually did something like this about 20 to 30 years earlier in the original run, with Dave Lister giving birth. And he was human. But yeah, he gave birth to a twins in one of the series of the original Red Dwarf, one of the first 8. But no one seems to have a problem with that, at least not anyone today anyway. Yet this guy in this episode gets the controversial opinions for reasons I don't know. My issue with this character is not so much the fact he's pregnant, it's the fact that he's just there and it doesn't really add anything to the plot. But that's not really something I'm prepared to die on a hill like the people who were complaining about him being pregnant, because they seem to be prepared to die on a hill about that. Whilst I'm not prepared to die on a hill about this. I just don't think he was necessary to the story. But like I said, doesn't mean I'm gonna bash on him for being pregnant. No, I found the controversy about him being pregnant and pregnant male character in the story, it's fucking ridiculous, especially as he's a bloody alien. If it was Ryan or Graham, I'd be questioning, but This guy, he's someone we don't know, he's an alien. Fine. And yet other people are prepared to die on hill about it. Okay, so like I said, I don't think that guy, the pregnant guy, really adds anything to the story. The only real thing it adds is Ryan and Graham being diverted from the main plot, and also the female nurse is also diverted from the main story as well to this subplot. The only real reason I can think of having it in is sort of give Ryan some character growth, and there's a bit of that in the episode with him talking about his dad and him finding his mum. But we're 5 episodes into a 10-episode series, and whilst it's great to have character growth across the series, this should have been information we should have learned in one of the last 4 episodes. Maybe not the first one, because that one was a chock-a-block episode with all of the introducing all of the characters, but maybe in episode 2 or 3, or maybe episode 4 when he's talking about his dad with the letter. I feel like this is a little bit of information a little bit too late with Ryan, and I just prefer to see the character growth that would be naturally progressed, like we see with him with Graham in quite a few of these episodes. They're kind of teaming up to work together, and over the time they will grow closer to each other, and in the end they will be like step-grandfather, step-grandson sort of relationship. We'll see that later on, but I feel like this new information is coming an episode or two too late. And honestly, Ryan's probably the only character who actually gets some character growth or backstory. Yaz just does Yaz stuff. Series 11 Yaz is a bit dull in some episodes, and Graham, apart from some funny lines, he's just there as well. Honestly, I think this episode should have been saved for Series 13, when there was just 2 companions with the Doctor, and you could have one maybe helping out with pregnancy if you had to, but fine, and the other one helping out with the core, but they would still have a little bit more to do elsewhere as well, maybe. But as it is, we've got quite a few main characters in this episode, and quite a few of them don't really have much to do. This episode does look visually stunning, as all of the episodes in Series 11 seem to be at this point, and the direction by Jennifer Parrott is really great, and we've got some great CGI and visual effects. So it's visually looking impressive, and Second Akinola does another good music score, although this might be my least favourite of his first 6 episodes music scores. I say first 6 because at this point of doing the review I've rewatched up to episode 6. But yeah, it's still a good score. There's some good stuff in the episode, but I just find it a bit dull in places, and it's just not that engaging to me, and I don't know what it is, it just isn't that fun. It's just dull. At least with Arachnids in the UK, I kind of enjoyed some of the B-movie-esque silliness in the episode, and some of the characters, characterizations, and involvement. Not Jack Robertson, but other characters. But this episode is, apart from Madly, the female nurse, and also the male nurse before he goes, there isn't really anybody I care about that much. Even the pilot character, who I thought was pretty good, wasn't hugely interesting, but I thought she was good for what she had. But other than that, I just wasn't really that interested in the story. It was just the Dare story, and it's probably the most filler episode of this series, and one of the most filler episodes of the Chibnall era. Actually, thank goodness this isn't in Series 13, because Series 13 has a lot to do regarding what happened at the end of Series 12, with a lot of answering of stuff. So actually, I'm glad this episode came now in Series 11, instead of in a more crucial series like Series 13, where Series 13 looks like it has to focus on stuff like what happened at the end of Series 12 leading into Series 13. It's going to have to focus on some of that stuff, whilst this episode is just doesn't really have a proper focus. So actually, I'm kind of glad it's here. But structurally, it would have worked better with just 1 or 2 companions with the Doctor, and maybe cut one of the other supporting characters, 1 or 2 of the supporting characters. Overall, I will be giving the Tsuranga Conundrum a 5 out of 10. I just didn't enjoy this one as much. There were some good bits, and it looks brilliant as per usual. almost all of the new series episodes look great, especially these more recent ones in Series 11. They're looking absolutely stunning. But the story is just a bit bland. The characters are kind of a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, I wouldn't say any of them are bad, but mixed between good and meh. There's some characters I think could have been removed and cut, and I think there's very little for our companions to do, and quite a few of them are put to the side and not really have that much to do. Ryan gets some character growth, but that's really about it. The Pating I like the Pating, but I think we could have had a bit more of it. It could have been a little bit more menacing, but, you know, I'm fine with it. I'm certainly fine with it more than most people. And yeah, I just find it a bit of a dull story. I'm not so worried about this one. The ending is nice when they honour a character who sadly passes away. They have a nice kind of tribute to that character at the end. But yeah, overall, I just don't think this story is that great. This story was originally a 7 out of 10 when I did my original review on the Universals for this story, but now it's kind of dropped a bit significantly, I suppose, especially after Arachnids in the UK dropped from school-wise, it dropped a bit. That this one now drops even more, because I thought this story was weaker than that one, and I stand by that opinion. Like I said, I could get into parts of Arachnids in the UK, but this one I thought was very bland. Not terrible, but bland. I'm not gonna go into a rant about it, but I find it's a pretty weak one. So that's it from me. Thank you for watching this Revisitation review of the Tsuranga Conundrum. Next time, an episode that might actually have beaten Rosa as my favourite episode of the 13th Doctor's era. Demons of the Punjab. I'll see you guys then. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel.